There has been rampant speculation of the future of the Last of Us franchise after the ending of The Last of Us Part 2. And what I want to talk about, guys, in this first segment of the show is all about the ending of The Last of Us Part 2, which we've talked about already in previous episodes of the show. But one theory, guys, or a number of theories that have come out, one of those being that the ending is actually not so grim after all. And so I want to talk about it. Let's break it down. And I would love to hear your thoughts about it in the comment section down below so we can have a real conversation about it. So let's get into it. So guys, this is an article written by Danny Paez of Inverse. The Last of Us Part 2 ending detail hints Ellie's fate wasn't so grim after all. Now, The Last of Us Part 2 is a gut-wrenching story of revenge set in a lawless post-apocalyptic world. The ending to Naughty Dog's Harrowing game builds upon the overall bleak tone in a very dark way, but one fan noticed a detail from the game's ending that could mean the grand finale isn't so grim after all. So everyone who's played The Last of Us 2 would agree that it ends on a seemingly irredeemable, dreary note. Now, first of all, guys, my thoughts on the ending. I already gave you guys my thoughts. You guys can check that out on the YouTube channel here for, the ending explained and just kind of giving you guys my thoughts on The Last of Us Part 2 and the ending as a whole. However, what else, just really quickly, The Last of Us Part 2, guys, as far as the ending is concerned, I don't necessarily think it was a dreary note, so to speak. I actually thought that the ending was quite fitting for this story that was, one of revenge, one of pain, and one of forgiveness. I really thought, guys, that the ending was really showing us that Ellie playing the guitar in that empty house was the one last thing that kind of connected her and gave her those memories of Joel. But when she left the guitar out of the guitar case and next to the windowsill, it's essentially stating that the story is still open, in my personal opinion. She's leaving to go complete a task, whatever that might be, maybe to go get Abby and take her down, or if it's to find out the origins of the infection, or whatever it is, guys, the story's still open. And so to me, I thought that there's plenty of ways that, the story can be, go into a positive light down the road. Maybe it's not going to be right here, right now, but I thought that at some point or another, there was going to be a light at the end of the tunnel, even though there still may be a lot of darkness leading up to that. So, all in all, guys, Ellie gave up the semblance of a quaint family life she had built with Dina and their newborn, JJ, for one last chance to kill Abby for killing Joel at the start of the game. Ultimately, Ellie's lust for revenge leads her to lose that family in a few fingers, which means she can no longer play the guitar, one of the few connections she still had to Joel. Now, what if we were to tell you that the final scenes of The Last of Us 2, when Ellie realizes she's unable to play the guitar Joel gifted her, was actually a happy ending? This fan theory began gaining traction, and it claims that Naughty Dog left out a large chunk of the time between when Ellie left Santa Barbara and when she returned to the farmhouse that she and Dina had been living. That could mean Ellie still had a life elsewhere, and that she wasn't returning to an empty nest after she let Abby go. Granted, it takes a long time to travel between Santa Barbara, California, and Jackson, Wyoming, but it does seem like a lot of time has passed. The one key detail that has made fans believe this is the rumor is, obviously the bracelet Dina gave Ellie. When Ellie has her final face-off against Abby in Santa Barbara, it's missing, but then Ellie is wearing it again when she returns to the farmhouse. The screenshots were obviously from a Twitter user. Mara posted a screenshot of another fan laying out the entire theory with screenshots of Ellie's wrists in the different scenes. So the theory explains that Dina most likely returned to Jackson after Ellie left to hunt down Abby. So Ellie could have returned to Jackson after traveling to Santa Barbara, where she was reunited with Dina and JJ. Then she could have gone to the farmhouse to collect her old things, but decided to leave that part of her past behind her. So it's a very interesting theory, guys, especially when you're considering that this is something that's actually quite more, you would think it's pretty happy, even though for me at least, I felt that the story is still absolutely left open because of the guitar. Now, maybe she went back to get the guitar, and It's hard to say. I mean, look, guys, it's a theory for a reason. We don't know for sure. Sure, maybe Naughty Dog is giving us hints here. I mean, there is a reason. There has to be a reason why she is not wearing that bracelet in that final, the final sequence against Abby. And then, of course, at the very end of the game, when she goes back to the farmhouse, she is wearing the bracelet. It's a very interesting concept that people are obviously, finding out about and kind of breaking down. Now, a YouTuber commented on the letter you find at the farm when you are with Dean and the baby. It's from the baby's father's mom, Jesse's mom, saying they will always have a place in Jackson if they choose to come back home. Also, if you notice, when Ellie leaves to fight Abby at the end, she's not wearing the bracelet Dean gave her, but when she returns, the camera zooms in on her hand. We were focused on the finger missing out, look completely past the fact that now she is wearing the bracelet, possibly meaning she has already been to Jackson and is living with Dina. She just went back to the farm for the guitar but decided to leave it. That represents her finally being able to accept Joel's death and end the cycle of revenge. My thing is all of us are going to take different things from it, guys. I just felt that she left the guitar next to the windowsill. She didn't put it back into the guitar case. So that tells me the story's still open. She's going to go do what she's got to do and come back, and she's going to play and maybe, play at some point or another down along the journey, because it's the one thing showing she hasn't let go of Joel yet. She hasn't, obviously forgotten about him. And, so I think personally that, and it's just my opinion, the story's left open because she doesn't put that story, that part of her story, away and back into the guitar case. She left it next to the windowsill, just saying that she's basically going to come back and play it at some point or another, but she's got other things to do, whatever that is, whether it's to figure out the origin of the infection, reunite with Dina, or maybe she already has been reunited with Dina. We're not sure. Or is she going to go back after Abby again? I mean, it's hard to say. I don't think she's going to go back after Abby, but I do think that at some point or another, all these different characters are going to have to work together in order to solve, what started the origins of the infection. Is it like Resident Evil, where the Umbrella Corporation is behind, spreading this infection? Is it something like that here in The Last of Us? Or is it something that Mother Earth just released this, infection upon the world? What is it? And so there's a ton of question marks, guys. Did Ellie's quest for revenge destroy her entire life, leaving her an empty shell of her former self, unable even to hold a guitar? Gamers would probably interpret the ending as Ellie's trying to heal and move past her violent past instead of her returning to a shell of her former life. The biggest piece of evidence required to prove this is the note Mara's screenshot was referring to, which players encounter on the dining room table early in the farmhouse sequence. Even if you don't read the note, it makes sense that Dina would return to Jackson with baby JJ rather than try to live along at the isolated farmhouse, especially when she had family back in Jackson. So look, Naughty Dog is obviously, they're keeping this story open. They want us to break it down as much as we possibly can. They're giving us hints along the way. It's hard to say, guys. To me, when I first, even after this theory came out, and we see, Ellie coming back to the farmhouse and she has that bracelet on, what it tells me is that, it was almost like she was removing Dina and JJ and all of that, kind of putting those things out of her mind because all she had to focus on was Joel. So she put that bracelet maybe, into her backpack or something to take out Abby. And that was like the whole mission. And then afterwards, maybe she, to put the bracelet back on when she came to return, and then there, the baby and Dina were not there. And so it was like a big surprise to her. It's hard to say, guys. It's really hard to say whether she's already been reunited or she was hoping to be reunited and they weren't there. They were gone. Guys, Naughty Dog has done an incredible job just getting us to all talk about this because I feel like the story is left open. It's definitely not a closed story yet. I believe there's going to be a number of other titles and entries into this series, which I'm hoping there are. But I think we're at least going to get one more because we got to figure out what the origins are. We got to figure out, is Ellie the only one who's immune here? Is there others that are immune to this infection? And what does that mean moving forward? And so it'll be very interesting to say the least, guys. What do you guys think about this theory that came out? Let me know, guys, in the comment section down below, and let's have a real conversation about it.